What's up? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Micki. I am a wealth energetics coach and healer, which is really just a fancy way of saying I am your new favorite manifestation coach and Reiki healer. Today we have a message coming through from Spirit pretty strongly. Usually how Spirit will communicate with me and show me the different topics that I should be touching on, or common themes that seem to be coming up in the collective a lot, is I will have the same type of message pop up like 5 different times, both online and in my real life, and then I can kind of connect the threads and find the commonality in there. So today we're going to be talking about, do you have to work extremely hard in order to become extremely wealthy? What's the correlation between hard work and having your manifestations drop into your 3D reality? So I'm gonna share with you the instances that came across my path, and then I'll get into my thoughts. So the first thing that I came across was a reel of one of my business coaches reflecting on how, when she was discovering the subconscious mind and she was discovering this idea of having receival wounds, she noticed that whenever someone would compliment her and compliment her business success, she automatically felt like she had to excuse away or justify the level of success that she was experiencing by saying, thanks, I worked really, really hard for it. Then later that day, I come across this YouTube video, and it was interesting because I was at an award ceremony this last weekend for one of my abundance healing containers, and there was someone there who apparently had a really pretty large following on social media, but I hadn't watched any of their videos. And so when I got back, I was like, maybe there's some like nuggets of wisdom that I can pick up from this individual. So I watched one of their videos, and this person was saying that they believe that the meaning to life is just really hard work. And if you happen to get some cool results as a byproduct, that's awesome. But they had tried to go into retirement for a year after making a couple $1,000,000, and they felt really lost. Like they felt like the passion and the drive that they used to have, like the light was kind of drained out of life. And so they went back to work, they went back to building their business again. But they said, it's interesting because while I'm working, I have massive anxiety and I really don't enjoy it. But when I'm not working, I lose all of my like sense of passion and drive and motivation and purpose in life. So the conclusion that this person drew was hard work is the reason why we're here. That's why we're here as humans, is to just work really hard. If we get results that make us feel good, then great. But even if we're having a negative experience while working, it's better than not working at all. Or even if it really burns us out or leaves us feeling really unhappy, that's the whole point of life. I couldn't go further than that because I was like, I'm sure you know, just based off of the fact that I'm like an energetics, like a wealth energetics coach, I was like, this isn't gonna align with me. So I stopped the video there. Then I run into my neighbor, and my neighbor and he does like vendor shop, like he does like little vendor market events. And we were talking about finances, we were talking about making money, we were talking about showing up online and creating content and creating community online and online sales. And there was a lot of resistance that I was feeling from him around a lot of ideas. And then he starts talking about, and he was really proud of this, he starts wearing this badge of honor around, yeah, sometimes I work so hard that I completely lose track of time, and I look outside and it's nighttime and I realize I haven't eaten all day, and I'm like, oh shit, like I should probably go take care of myself. Then I get back on social media and there's another reel, actually 2 reels back to back this morning, of people that started as entrepreneurs in something completely unrelated, built something from the ground up, used their own money to seed and fund their entrepreneurial adventures. They ended up being really successful. And then they have people coming out of the woodworks accusing them of basically either having investors or being like Nepo babies, basically like saying their parents had money and they had everything handed to them. And there was a lot of resistance around that idea, but to the point where the entire reel from both of these creators was around how hard they had to work to get to that point, to earn the recognition and the success. This is not an uncommon idea, right? Like, most of us were brought up with this idea that you have to work incredibly hard, that, like, I was at an event this last weekend, like I was mentioning, and one of the people that I was sitting at the table at was talking about how burnout didn't even really exist, or at least the awareness of burnout didn't really exist until recent modern day times in our society. And they were using an example of like their grandfather working in the coal mine, and they're like, do you really think like my grandpa was like, oh, can't go to work because I'm burnt out? There's this whole idea around working yourself into the ground really, really hard, and then success that you see from that is okay. It's like justified. However, when we see people that can receive money with ease without running themselves into the ground, without burning out, there's a resistance around that. As humans, we're like, what the fuck? Why do I have to run myself into the ground? And this person over here just shows up in whatever capacity and money seems to flow to them. So that's where I come in as a wealth energetics coach, and I'm going to break down why this happens, and I'm just going to give you a few permission slips in this video. My intention that when you leave this video, you're going to feel a little bit better about simply being in a state of receival without having to earn it. So the first foundational pieces that I'm going to lay out here for you is just the knowledge, just the idea, just feel into this, that you are a piece of God. You are a literal piece of source I am God energy that is incarnated into a human body. We are limited in our capacity here in a human body in a lot of ways, but energetically, we're actually extremely powerful. There's a lot of even envy in the spirit world towards humans because we have the ability to do things that people, beings, entities in the spirit world are not able to do. And that is take ideas from the quantum, take ideas from our brain, take creative endeavors, download it, channel it through our body, and use our physical body to bring it into the physical 3D reality, right? Into our world, into this realm. If you look around you, everything that you see around you that's not just straight up nature, a human had to invent. Like, I'm sitting here in my car, I see light poles, I see cars, I see guardrails, I see stop signs, I see lines on the parking lot here that was created by a machine. I see an entire business behind me. Like, I'm literally surrounded by millions and millions of dollars worth of innovation right now, as are you at any given time. That is what we're really good at as humans, is channeling ideas, especially ideas that can make other humans' lives easier and then profiting off of that. It's like, if you're able to channel an idea and then execute that idea, and you're able to bring something into the physical 3D world that helps humans, we as humans want to compensate you for that, right? We are co-creators with the divine, meaning you can only go so far, right? But once you take it as far as you can, once you do the things that the divine, that source, that God needs you to do, they're then able to meet you and make the magic happen, right? So that's when I say we're in a co-creatorship, it is very difficult to create something if you're out of alignment, because you're not going to have the divine's favor, the divine's blessing, and you're probably not going to have the energy or the motivation to follow through with it, because it's going to be going against everything inside of you. But when you're in alignment, there is literal magic that happens. There is this energetic flow that you tap into, where it's like you're in this vortex where everything just magically kind of starts to fall into place for you, okay? So that's the first thing. We're not here by ourselves. We're not here just like meant to like be grinding ourselves into the ground. This is a co-creation process where we get to experience success, joy, luxury, abundance, etc. The other idea that I'd love for you to play with is this idea that source, God, I am, universe, actually doesn't want you to be broke, and they don't want you to be burnt out, because if you're burnt out, and you're tapped out, there is no more creative energy that can come for you. There is no more creation that can come when you're already at a point where you're like, I'm literally exhausted. Please no one even look at me or breathe on me or touch me or I'm going to scream, right? Like, they want you to be in a place of rest, or at least be in a flow where once you realize that you're at this point of like, okay, I'm getting to my peak and I've pushed myself a little bit and I've grown a little bit, but now I need to rest, that you're willing to put yourself into that state of rest intentionally so that you can, I look at it as like, download new energetic codes, have them activate you on different levels, get new creative downloads. Like, I don't know of any entrepreneur, any artist, any creative individual that's like, yeah, man, I have my best ideas when I'm burnt the fuck out. Like, nobody says that, because they're like, it's usually like, I was driving in my car kind of on autopilot and all of a sudden I had a massive download, or it was weird, I was like in the shower relaxing and all of a sudden I like knew what the next step in my life was, or I was washing the dishes. It's like these mindless activities when we're in a state of, if not rest, at least neutral activity, so that our brain can even be in receiving mode. So that's the other idea that I'd love for you to play with. The next one is this idea that you as a human, your energy is finite. We wake up in the morning with a certain amount of energy and then we spend it throughout the day, and by the nighttime, most of us are like really tired and ready to go to bed. We recharge overnight, we wake up the next morning and do the same thing all over again. If you are directly connecting your ability to receive and to make a certain amount of money, if you're directly connecting that with your work ability, with your hustle ability, with your direct human energy, you're always going to hit a ceiling, you're always going to hit a cap, because the day restarts at the end of every day, or the month restarts at the end of every month, like depending on like if you're in sales or whatever, like however we're measuring success by, whatever time frame we're measuring success by, it resets. And you can only go so far with your physical like brunt force energy, right? So just with common sense, we look at that and we're like, okay, there's obviously a cap. You can only work so hard. There is this like saying like, oh, everyone has 24 hours in a day. And I do agree with that. Obviously, we all have the same 24 hours. But we have so many different, we have so many different experiences, and we have so many different things that contribute to how we are able to use that 24 hours in a day. I'm going to give you some examples. Someone who is a single mom who has 5 kids, who has no support system, you telling them that they have the same 24 hours in a day as someone over here who has their parents, let's just say, paying for most of their main bills, so they're not really having to stress out about it. They don't really have kids, and they're able to roll out of bed every day and create 5 hours of content and work on their business. And then this person over here is like, I also have this business, but I also have to like work a full-time job and provide for my kids and take care of my kids, and I can really only do like 1 video a week. And then you're looking at this person over here, and from the outside looking in, it's like, this person's so much more successful, they must be working so much harder. But it's like, this person over here also is putting an insane amount of effort in. They just don't have the same advantages, or they don't have the same privileges as this person over here. Like, we all have the same 24 hours, but the relationship with time and the relationship with effort is going to be different depending on your circumstances. This is why I love the idea of quantum healing, working in the quantum, working with energy. Like, the way that I work with clients to get them results is I take my ability to go in and be an energy healer and coach you through certain things and bring things up to the surface, limiting beliefs, money mindset issues, etc., etc. And I even go in and do like past life money contract clearings, ancestral clearings. We go in and like clear out any childhood money blocks that were downloaded into your subconscious without you even realizing it. There's a whole process energetically that I lead my clients through. And it's interesting because a lot of the times within 48 hours, they start getting results and they're like, this was so fast. All I had to do was show up and like watch this video, this healing session that you created, and I tap into this energy and all of a sudden money is flowing. Typically, this is because they already were working their asses off, right? Like there was already so much hustle energy happening that the energy healing was the last thing that needed to happen for that it's like, the way I explain it is, you have this energetic field around you. Let's say you have like this bubble, like imagine this bubble around you, and you have abundance sitting on the outside of the bubble that would really love to come in. And because of the divine law of cause and effect, you've actually already manifested it. It just doesn't have a way to really easily fall into your life. And the more that you're stressed out, and the more that you are running yourself into the ground, and the more that you're exhausted, and the more that you're depleted, it just kind of solidifies this bubble around you and makes the bubble denser and denser, so that there's really no way for it to come in. So then you come across me, and there's an energy healing session where you show up and you just get to sit and relax into the energy, and all of a sudden things start shifting because you're in a place of receiving instead of feeling like you have to earn it or deserve it. Like, I had a client that popped into the community the other day, and she was like, this is the first like meditation type healing session that I've ever been a part of where I didn't feel the need to perform. I didn't feel like I had to like sit up super straight, or like hold my body a certain way, or like concentrate a certain way, or like get the visualizations perfect. She was like, I was able to literally just sit back and receive the energy and feel the shifts happening in my body. So that's the way that I like teaching clients, and that's the way I like leading clients through transformation. But even with that, the reason I bring that up is, when you learn how to work with energy and you're learning how to work in the quantum, your relationship with time even changes, because you're not having to tie your progress or your success to a certain amount of hours, to a certain amount of effort. You almost have like this relationship that you develop with time, where you realize that the more relaxed you are and the more detached you are, the easier it is for the things that you already worked for, that you already put this aligned action towards, the easier it's going to be for those things to fall into your life. And I would argue that when you are operating in that way, where you're not burnt out, where you're not exhausted, where you're not resentful, you get to enjoy the fruits of your labor a lot more, because you are not seeing this money that comes in with any form of resentment. I feel like that's what can happen if it's like you earned it, but it was like, I earned this. It's like by the time it gets here, it feels like a consolation prize, but not even something that you would even really want to do again. It's like it burns you out so bad that by the time the reward or the effect of your cause, like cause and effect, like comes into your life, you're like, is this even fucking worth it? Most of the time, it's not. I remember the very first $10,000 month I ever had. I was in direct sales at the time, and just to kind of like give you an idea, I had been in direct sales for about 7 years. I'd been in 4 or 5 different companies. At every single time, I was able to hustle and work my ass off all the way to the top 1% of every single company. It sounds really great, but with those companies, you have to be in like the top 0.1% to be making over $10,000 a month. So I was making anywhere from like $2,000 a month to like $5,000 a month, but $5,000 was like the absolute cap. And I had people that I was leading and etc. But like the amount of effort that I had to put in to maintain these sales, to maintain the top 1%, would be like, I'm not joking, sometimes 10 to 14 hours a day. I remember sometimes being on my phone for so long that my elbows would literally lock up, and I would have to like stretch my arms out, and it would hurt so bad to like unbend my joints, because I had just been in this mode all day. And it was interesting because I remember the very first time that I finally hit a $10,000 month, it was one of my first experiences with the universe where things just aligned, and it was like all the work that I had put in up until that point just happened to hit a peak. It just happened to be like the perfect timing at that day. I wasn't into astrology or numerology or anything like that at the time. I'm so interested. I wish I could like go back and look at the placements of exactly how things were, because it really felt divinely guided. It felt like almost like a Lionsgate portal, like 8-8, like just like a bunch of abundance just like pouring in the gates. But because I wasn't a vibrational match to hold it, I called it in, and then I immediately had a really like intense health episode like right after that. I remember working all day. I was heavily pregnant. I was supposed to give birth to my 3rd child at the time, like the next day, and all this money is coming in. I think it ended up being about a $5,000 day, which at the time I was like, holy shit, I've never made $5,000 in one day. Like, that's insane, right? So, and it's funny that I'm like hearing sirens as I'm talking about like a health crisis, because that's exactly what ended up happening. I gave birth about a week later, and then almost died during giving birth. and ended up having like back to back. It felt like, I mean, I definitely almost died, like literally saw the golden light, had to choose if I was going into it or not, chose to come back into my body, but then had like stroke symptoms for like 6 months. And the interesting thing was, at the time, because that was my only $10,000 month, and a majority of it had happened in one day, and then I had this health episode right after, and then had all of these like recurring health issues, in my subconscious mind, it almost implanted this idea, even though it was kind of incorrect, there was some truth to it, but it implanted this idea that making a lot of money or working really hard or having to perform at that level to bring in $10,000 in a month was going to fucking kill me. Like, it wasn't going to be an easy breezy, beautiful cover girl road. It was going to be like, yeah, you can have $10,000 a month if you're willing to have stroke symptoms for the next 6 months, right? And there was this idea that the only reason it happened was because I was willing to work incredibly hard. Like, even though I can look back on it now and realize it just happened to be one of those days where I had spent literally like a year and a half marketing and like building a pipeline of leads, and then the sale that happened that day just happened to be so good that all of these people were like, fuck yeah, I want to get in. And I'm sure there were some astrological placements that absolutely were like assisting me and helping me with that. And the interesting thing about that story too was, about 6 months later, I ended up leaving the company. So I also look at it as the divine's way of like back pay in a way, or like getting all of the energy and the effort that I had put into this container and giving me a payout, so that when it was time for me to leave, there was no resistance around me leaving. But that's neither here nor there. The point is, when you earn a lot of money, but you have adverse health reactions, maybe you're like all of a sudden having massive anxiety attacks, or you're stressed out of your mind, and then you have this situation like with the person that I shared earlier in the video, where it's like, but if I stop working, I lose all my purpose in life. It becomes like this catch-22 where it's like, well, I don't want to stop working. I love being productive. I love creating, which you're a human. Of course you love creating. Of course you love being productive. That's one of the joys of being a human. But it's like, when you have this relationship with money where you feel like you have to work really hard to either earn it or prove to other people that you earned it and that you're deserving of it, you really create a very unhealthy relationship around money. And then we wonder why we have anxiety attacks checking our bank account, or why every time we have to go and spend the money, it doesn't feel like this divine circulation where you're allowing money to flow from you and you're expecting or just knowing that the universe is going to funnel it back to you in some way. It doesn't feel expansive, it feels expensive, right? And this is how I always try to teach my manifestation students in my like higher level manifestation coaching containers. Like, look at spending as expansive. Your relationship with money should feel so healed that it's a joy to spend, because you're like, wow, look at all of the people that I'm blessing by allowing this money to flow back out from me, right? But when you earn your money, and you're like, I earned this, and it's coming to you in a way where you feel exhausted, it almost feels like you have to hyper protect your resource because you had to put so much of your time and energy into receiving it. But what if there was another way? What if there was a way that you could learn how to co-create really effortlessly with the divine, and you followed these intuitive nudges and you tapped into the numerology or the human design of like who you actually are? You got really clear on what you're supposed to be doing here. You got really clear on how to work with the divine, how to work with the universe. You cleared all your energetic money blocks. You learned how to heal your receival wounds, so that when you received money, it was like an, oh, of course, I get paid to exist. The universe loves to shower me with gifts, not an, okay, how do I explain this away? Like, how do I explain to, my mom or so-and-so that like this money just showed up for me? You have to shift your relationship with money. And I would say like, it's a non-negotiable if you want to have a really fulfilled life while also being in overflow, while also being in abundance. I feel like when you're not able to get to this point, this is why people are like, fuck money. Money's the root of all evil. Money just causes issues, like more money, more problems. Or you have these people that go out of their way to like live off the grid, live completely away from society. It's like the relationship with money gets so soured and so toxic that it's almost like a relationship with religion, right? Where it's like religion can be helpful, it can be a container, it can be structure, Or it can be so toxic that people are like, you literally couldn't pay me to go back into another church again, right? Especially if you don't have a good relationship with money. So that's my goal here. That is my mission. Number one, and I've shared this on my Instagram multiple times, my mission is to get as much money as possible into the hands of good, kind, generous, conscious people, because that is how I believe we change the world. We're not going to change the world if people that are asshole billionaires that don't give a shit about humanity are the ones that are hoarding all the wealth. The second principle that I believe in is that money is an unlimited energetic resource. I see money as currency as a current as energy. I believe it is an unlimited energetic resource, and it's a neutral resource. It doesn't have a positive or a negative charge. You as the vessel, you as the holder of the money, you as the channel of the money get to decide the emotion that you put into it. I believe that anyone that masters the frequency of the energy of money can become insanely wealthy, because it's just a game of self-mastery. It's just a game of expanding your capacity to receive. It's a game of expanding your capacity to hold. It's a game of seeing it as a game, not taking it so seriously, and realizing like, oh, this is just a piece of the puzzle of our human experience. It's a very important piece, but it's a game that we have chosen to play as a collective, as a society. Like, we're the ones that invented this idea of the way that the financial system currently is. And even with the way that it currently is, things are always changing. Like 20 years ago, cryptocurrency wasn't a thing, right? Like digital banking wasn't really a thing. Everyone was like cash here, cash there, right? Before that, paper was like not a thing. They were trading with actual gold and silver coins, right? Before that, it was like, let's see who can find the prettiest shells on the beach, and like whoever finds the prettiest shell, whichever. It was like a commodity based thing, right? So this idea of, our relationship with money has changed over the years, but you've always had this hierarchy, right? Like, you've always had the poor people and the rich people. And this is I feel like the time where it's most accessible to the most people, because we have so many resources like the internet, like social media, like digital products. People are able to come on here, like I'm speaking to you. You don't know where I live or like what part of the world that I'm in, but likely you and I are in completely different parts of the world, and we're still able to have this connection and this trading of energy where I'm able to say all these things to you and expand your awareness and expand your relationship with money, and we've never even met. Like, this is the time where the most millionaires, multimillionaires, and billionaires are going to be created. And especially if you're willing to do the work to heal your relationship with money on an energetic level, you can become a conscious millionaire, multimillionaire, even billionaire, to the point where, first of all, you love making money. It feels like a joy. It feels like a breeze. You're making money in your sleep. And you love circulating money. You love being able to allow it to flow back out from you, because you know that you are creating a really beautiful ecosystem where the people, the humans that are receiving that money, are expanded. So as a recap, the way that I personally lead my clients through this, and you are absolutely invited to join us in this, I have a container. It's a very low cost, low ticket container. It's called Reiki for Riches Collective. Right now, as I'm filming it, it's only $33 a month. However, when I reach 500 members, it's going to go to $44 a month, etc. It will continue to increase. So right now, when you're watching this, whenever this is going to be the absolute best time to get into that container. And once you get into this container, there's a 5 healing session curriculum that you walk through, where on day 1, we go in and we energetically spend an hour clearing any ancestral or lineage trauma around money, because sometimes it's not even your trauma. Sometimes it's not even about you. Sometimes there are your ancestors who are not fully on board with this idea of money, or they had a really, really negative experience with it while they were here, and they're trying to be helpful. They're trying to help you, but it's just not working, and it's creating energetic blocks. We also have 7 generations of our ancestors' DNA still in our physical physical bodies. So there were literal pieces of them still inside of you that, because energy is everything and because things get encoded into our cellular DNA, there may even just be some beliefs that they had or some trauma that they had that you're still holding in your body. So that's why there's that saying, when you choose to heal yourself, you're choosing 7 generations before you and 7 generations after you. Because if you chose to procreate and have children, and then they choose to have children, eventually 7 generations down, your DNA will still be in your descendants. And so the work that you're doing, or the work that, if you opt in, you choose to do to heal your relationship with money and clear out any energetic baggage, is actually genuinely healing you on like generational levels. So that's the first lesson, or like the first session that I lead you through. Then we do a past life money contract clearing, because sometimes the block is you. It's like you from a past life. Or like, let's say you were super wealthy in the past and you ended up causing a lot of harm to someone, and you still are subconsciously holding on to this guilt and shame of what happened in the past, and now you want to be in a place where you're manifesting more money and attracting more abundance, but you're like, I feel like shit. Like, it's like there's this resistance, but you don't know where it's coming from, or you feel like I can't be wealthy again because I wasn't a great steward of it last time, etc. That's just one example. On the complete opposite end, we have people who took a past life vow of poverty, and that it, especially like even ancestors taking like past life vows of poverty that are still affecting you today. It's like this shame and this guilt of like, well, I got rid of all of my material possessions and I saw being impoverished or having nothing, you know, to my name as being closer to God. We have a lot of religious programming around that. And so now when you're here again and you're like, actually, in this current society, like, yeah, you do have to have money, and I'd love to be able to develop a really healthy relationship with money. Even just the idea of wanting money when you went out of your way in a past life to get rid of it all, like, can feel jarring to your nervous system. Then we move into a childhood subconscious money block clearing. This clears things around what you saw as a child, what society taught you, things that were passed down from your parents, or like how you saw your parents handling money, any reactions that your parents or people around you gave you to having money. You know what's funny? There's this story coming through right now that I'm feeling called to share that's interesting. So when I was about 3 or 4, Chuck E. Cheese's was like my favorite place to go. And I remember my mom told me I even like manifested it. She doesn't even believe in manifestation, but she's like, I literally had like a Chuck E. Cheese like vision board when I was like 3 years old. Anytime the newspapers came, I would pick out like the pictures of Chuck E. Cheese's, I'd cut them out and I'd put them up on the fridge, and I would just talk about how I was going to Chuck E. Cheese's for my birthday, and I like kind of like spoke it into existence, which is fucking hilarious now knowing like what I do for a living. So anyways, I spoke this into existence. I go to Chuck E. Cheese's for like my 3rd or 4th birthday. I think it was 3 though. And I remember this vividly, like walking through like those carpeted, like low lit areas, and there's all these gaming machines, and one of the workers had left one of the bottoms of the machines open, and there was this huge bucket of those gold coins. And I'm like, jackpot, right? Like, I'm like, oh my God. So I go over there, and I remember standing over the bucket and just like putting my hand in and just taking like a handful of these coins, right? So easy to receive at this point, right? It's very clear that the universe, I had like manifested this little trip, and then 3-year-old me is like presented with this bucket of abundance, and I'm just like relishing in it. At that moment, there are 3 large teenagers that come over me, and I remember looking up at them, and this guy goes, "What are you doing?" And I didn't say anything. I just had like the handful of coins, and I'm like looking up at him, and he goes, "That's stealing." And I just felt so much shame enter my body because I hadn't earned it, right? And I remember dropping the coins, dropping my head and walking away. And then I turned back and I look, and all 3 of the teenagers have their hands in the buckets and they're taking the money out, right? Like they're taking the coins out. Even moments like that, it's like, it's a childhood trauma that gets ingrained in your body. So now when it's time to receive without earning it, little 3-year-old me is like, but are we allowed to? Is someone gonna be there to be like, you didn't earn this, but then really turn around and like exploit the situation for themselves, right? So there's all these little moments like that that are woven into our childhood that we don't even realize are still affecting us until we go in and do this energy clearing where it's like, holy shit, there's actually so much that came up. Then I go and I lead you through the 4th session, which is a money mindset scarcity clearing, where we go in and we look at your worthiness to receive. Because the reality is, you can clear all of your money blocks around, there's enough money to go around. Like, it doesn't inherently make me evil to have money. I don't have to, necessarily hustle myself into the ground to like earn some money. But regardless, there could still be a certain level, and typically there is a certain level where once you hit that ceiling, that threshold of how much you're actively willing to receive, you start to feel like, oh shit, maybe it's not for me. Maybe I don't deserve this. Maybe I'm not worthy. Maybe it's for that person over there and not for me. And that number differs for everyone. Maybe it's $10,000 a month for you. Maybe it's $20,000 a month for you. Maybe it's $100,000 a month for you. Regardless, there's definitely a set point where anything above that, you would immediately start to feel uncomfortable. For a lot of us, when we're starting this work, it's much less than $10,000 a month. Like $10,000 a month feels like, oh my God, I can't even believe I just made 10K in 1 month, right? And I didn't have to like sell my soul for it. So then after we go through and we increase your ability to just know that you deserve it, we go and we clear some of the scarcity, and we implement some of these really beautiful energetic pieces around like your worthiness as a divine human being to accept money without having to earn it, and et cetera, et cetera. Then I go into what I call a financial frequency flow upgrade, where I go in and I increase your ability to hold the money with ease and spend it, so that we are really activating that divine law of circulation. So it's a really beautiful like curriculum that you go through. It's about 5 hours of energy healing total. There are also one-time energy healing sessions that you can unlock and upgrade once you're in there to further your journey with the energy healing if you really love the energy. Then you're also in community with me. So I don't check my DMs on social. I don't like spend a ton of time in the comments. I don't like go back and forth with people in my email. My paid communities are like the way that you get one-on-one support from me. So I respond to every single comment and every single post from my students inside of Reiki for Riches. So you get to share your wins with me, money wins, nervous system wins. You get to ask questions. If there's any resistance that comes up, or you're like, I'm not sure why I feel really resistant towards this one session, we can kind of talk through it. Then every month I do a channeled monthly oracle card reading, where we look into the numerology, the cosmic events that are going to be coming up in the future month. And then I pull some cards and I channel some messages around what you will be navigating, or what we will be navigating as a small collective inside of my little space. And clients are obsessed with them. Like, they're like, it's wildly accurate every single month. And I have a vault of even past readings as well. So you can, like, maybe let's say you're led to like June's reading, and you're like, it's not June, but I'm led to this reading. And then you go through and it's like Spirit has a message directly for you at that point in your life. So that's kind of how I keep the offering fresh. $33 a month right now to join. If you would love to join that, I would love to have you. The link to join that and read more and read testimonials, like actual screenshots from clients getting insane results, like thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars worth of results. You will just go and into this description box down below. I'll leave the link there, and then it will also be a link in my bio. But I just want to like give you the permission slip to even play with this idea of like, maybe there's a way for me to change and heal my relationship with money to the point where I don't dread it. I don't dread having to operate in a society where it's so money heavy. Like, maybe it can become one of your greatest joys. Like, money is one of my greatest allies. It is one of my greatest joys. It is my greatest supporter. It is my greatest tool, not only for my expansion, but to heal the people around me. I literally look at money as an extension of God. I literally got in an argument this last weekend with very highly religious family members who basically told me that the only reason I manifest so much money is because I work with Satan. I don't. And that God wouldn't possibly be giving me as much money as I make. And that, it was just this like energy of, if you are manifesting a lot of money, you must be working with the adversary, which is absolutely like untrue. But this whole energy, even around that weekend, was like, it just showed me the vast contrast between who I used to be when I was really bought into these religious structurings and who I am now, where I get to have a really beautiful relationship with money, and I get to allow the money to flow for me, and I get to take care of my communities, and I get to take care of my family, and I get to it's funny because I was even using the money that I make to take care of these certain family members that were like telling me how demonic the money I make is. Wild. Regardless, you don't have to buy into what you have bought into in the past. Like, at any point in time, you can decide that your current relationship with money no longer works for you, and you can switch it up. You can change it. You're not locked in. That is one of the really cool things about being a human. Like, at any point in time, if you decide, actually, I don't want this anymore, I want something different, you have the right to choose that. 100% of the time, you have the right to choose that. So don't allow family programming, don't allow religious programming, don't allow what your ancestors went through, what you went through in past life stuff, childhood stuff. Like, don't let any of that stop you from becoming the person that you feel called to be. And if you feel called to have a really strong relationship with money, you don't have to work incredibly hard to earn it. Now, as a one last little disclaimer for those of us that made it to the end of this video and are really resonating with this message, this doesn't mean that you don't work hard ever. It means that you wait until it feels aligned. It means you wait until you feel led. It means you wait until it's in full alignment with what you're currently working on and what you feel called to do, to put this grind energy behind it. We're not operating from a place of lack at this point. We're not operating from a place of anxiety. We're not operating from a place of, if I rest and if I sit down for even a moment, everything's gonna disappear. We're not doing that. We have encoded at this point, and especially assuming that you've been with me then through Reiki for Riches and gone through these different healing sessions, we have cleared this energetic slate and set a new foundation so that it feels really good to receive, and you know that you can rest. And as you're resting, it's almost like you're just recharging your battery and getting ready to go again in another really aligned way. So you're able to change your mind at any point in time to heal your relationship with money, to work in a different way, to even manipulate time a little bit so that the things that used to take you 10 years to complete, you can get done in 1 year. That's literally very clearly what I've seen in my life again and again and again. I very consistently make in 1 month what people make in an entire year. And it feels good, and it feels aligned, and it feels like, yep, this is normal for me. So even just that leap from not being able to go past $5,000 a month, having health issues around my first $10,000 month, and now very consistent. I mean, $10,000 a month is like my absolute minimum now. And it feels as normal as it did when I was making $2,000 a month or less, right? But very consistently, I'll have an incredible month where it's like, oh, I just made someone's entire salary in 1 month. And it feels aligned and it feels good. And I want that for you too. So again, invitation to check the link in the description box below. But I also want you to tap in with me, leave me a like on this video, and subscribe if you've gotten any gems from this, or I've shifted your mentality in any type of way. Leave me a comment on what resonated the most, and any questions that you have. I might not answer it in the comment section, but it will give me ideas around what I could create future content around. So any like clarification points that you would love, or any curiosities that you have around the way that I see my relationship with money, or the way that I teach clients to see their relationship with money, definitely drop them in the comments below. We've been on here for 43 minutes together, so sending you so much love if you have watched this entire thing. I love spending time with you. This is my second like long form video, and I think this is gonna be my thing. My commitment, or at least my goal commitment, is to film at least one of these a day for as long as it takes to reach the people that I feel like I need to reach. Spirit has definitely been leading me onto YouTube. So yeah, definitely let me know if you're enjoying this content and if you're excited to see more. Sending you so much love, and I will see you again so very, very soon. Bye-bye for now.